Hello everyone, welcome back. So in my first video I asked what you guys wanted to see in the future videos, and a lot of you guys asked for a China game. So I figured I'd do a game analysis of the winners bracket finals versus Tunisia. So this was the game 1 of the series, and I am playing Nuwa over here versus Tunisia's Gaia. And the map is, I believe, Atacama. Yeah. So the feature of this map is that the woodlines are primarily in the middle of the map. So it's extremely easy to wood starve the opponent. And that is one of the reasons Gaia is such a priority pick on this map. Simply because she can use Gaia Forest, so she doesn't have to worry about the lack of woodlines. So Nuwa versus Gaia is actually a very tricky matchup. I would say it is a really good matchup for Gaia, and I will explain why as we get further into the game. But the thing is, it is quite map dependent, to be entirely honest. And I got extremely lucky with the map here. I had back gold mine, I had some hunt that I could lure under the TC, and I had some back hunt here as well, which isn't much, but it's something. So the reason this is such a tricky matchup for Nuwa is because Gaia gets access to Lito, which means Gaia can spam the robots, which you see Tunison doing exactly. And also, through Lito, you get access to Volcanic Forge, so that increases the pierce armor of all your units, including the myth units. At least the automatons, which is really difficult for China to deal with because, at least in the classical age, because China only gets access to one hero in the classical age, the Pioneer. And the Pioneer does pierce damage, and it gets countered very heavily by the Terma. So in theory, the Gaia player, all the Gaia player needs to make is automatons and Terma. So that is one of the reasons Gaia is extremely good versus Nuwa, especially on an exposed map. So what I'll be doing in this analysis is I will be trying to explain my reasoning for every decision that I made, and explain why I think that is the optimal way to play this matchup. He also got Demeter's Throne, which is arguably the best relic for Gaia in the game, and Kronos as well, potentially, but Gaia mainly because it makes the economic guilds ridiculously cheap. I believe, yeah, 7 wood and 2 gold, and it takes 4 seconds to build it. It's extremely easy to spread Gaia Lush. So this is me just scouting what he's trying to do. 2 pioneers, 1 on each side. I'm just trying to look at what he's doing. And the reason for this early earth wall is in case he was going for 1 TC play, I wanted to make sure my earth wall was nice and up before his army could come here. Because while the earth wall, I believe it's a 20-second countdown, so while the earth wall is going up, it is extremely vulnerable. I'm pretty sure 1 myth unit could probably take it down if it starts attacking it as soon as I cast it. So you have to be, so I try to use it as soon as possible. And you can see it's fully up now, so it's a really good defense for now. The reason I used it in this way is so I could secure my berry bushes, I could secure the gold mine, primarily the gold mine, and also potentially these woodlines later on. But for now, this isn't as much of a concern. I lured this hippo under the TC. I tried to lure the second one, but I couldn't find it. It was over here. Naturally, it was supposed to be over here, but I kind of figured it wouldn't be. I wouldn't be able to lure it all the way under the TC. And at this point, I know that he is going 1 TC because I've seen the Terma hero, and I've seen his. I basically know. It's hard to explain, but once you play with someone enough, you kind of understand. And so basically I've played this matchup several times versus Junison, in fact, in practice. And I believe I almost always lost this matchup in practice. Simply, you know, just reiterating what I said earlier, extremely tough matchup for Nuwa. Yeah, this was me trying to lure the hippo under the TC, but it just doesn't work because it was very far away. I also used the clay peasants to lure the hippo, because even if they die, I don't really care that much. Now at this position, I know he's just going for full automatons and full Terma. That is very difficult to defend. So this is me just trying to create choke points, so his Terma can't enter, and even if they try to enter, I can spam the Terracotta Riders to catch them off guard. This is me just trying to buy time. I cannot fight his army yet, at all. But what I can do is keep my pioneers over here. So if he tries to attack me, I can at least, you know, do some counter damage, force him to retreat to heal back. Just buying time, really. I think it's almost, I don't want to say it's impossible, but it's almost impossible to deal with mass automatons and Terma in the classical age for China. So as you can see, I'm just trying to get to hit the heroic age as soon as possible. Ideally, I would have liked to have gone through the other god, Gomang, so that I can just spam houses in the back over here and get the upgrade. I'm forgetting the name. What's it called? This one, Vibrant Land. So the houses can grow trees, so I don't have to worry about going all the way over here. But I figured, you know, it's better to try to stay alive than worry about that. So I had to go for Fab Beast, Rusho, to get damage done and to basically survive. You can see him just spreading the Gaia Lush everywhere. This is actually kind of insane if you think about it. 4 seconds to build this, 9 resources. It's just the best relic in the game for Gaia. And this is just me converting one of the military camps into a tower. Now this is where I believe I made a really important decision, a really nice move that made the game go the way it went. I was basically trying to lure his army over here, just, you know, pushing in. I am more than happy to lose a few units here. So my reasoning behind this is I know that as soon as he sees that I've gone through Fab Beast, he's going to pull his army back and he's going to heroize these Termas. You can see him saving resources for this. This is his idea in case I go for Fab Beast. At least I think it is. It should be, because that is the optimal play. So my reasoning is I want to use Fab Beast as soon as I age up, basically, before he gets the time to heroize these, because if they survive even with like 1 HP, they're gonna heal back up on the Gaia Lush. So my goal is to get as much damage done as soon as possible, and you can see, like, the second I advance, I use this. And another thing is that I do not fight with them, because if I fight, he's going to lose very few units and most of them are going to heal back up. What I try to do instead is I try to run, so he has to either chase them or he's going to lose most of his Terma. And you can see he lost his Terma and he's chasing them. He realizes this now and he pulls away, but he's still getting poison. So he's going to lose most of them. This was as good of a Fab Beast as I could have asked for. Now my idea originally at this stage of the game was to go for a Mythic Age, because the best counter to this strategy is a fast Mythic. It's not easy to do, but that is the best counter. But I saw that I had killed most of his automatons, but a few were alive. So I was worried that he's just going to heal them back, repair them back up, and then he's going to be able to attack me again. So I invested into White Horse Cavalry. I don't know if, looking back, if that was the best idea. Maybe I should have just made like 1 or 2, maybe 3 or 4, and gone raiding with them. By the way, I knew there were spider layers here. I was more than happy to suicide some of my units, lose some of the Elbediers and the Javelineers rather than the cavalry. So I don't really mind losing them, as long as my Cav stays alive. But again, the only reason I'm pushing out here is because I don't want him to repair the automatons, but turns out they repair pretty fast over here, so I have to pull back. And now I don't have the resources to hit a proper Mythic Age timing. So at this stage I figured might as well just invest heavily into the Heroic Age. You can see me getting the upgrades, because I realized at this stage of the game that this is going to be a prolonged Heroic Age fight. And in the Heroic Age, China can actually deal with this pretty well. Really well actually, because China gets access to the White Horse Cav, which is a really strong unit, especially for Nuwa. And China gets access to the Jiangxia. And while this does pierce damage, for the most part, it also does divine damage. But that is not the reason that it's really good. The reason it's really good is because you can see the circle, the 20-meter circle. It basically reduces the damage of the enemy myth units by 20%. Let me see if I can show it to you. Yeah, you can see this automaton, the one outside the range, does 11 hack damage per second, while this one does 8.8 hack damage per second. So it's extremely vital. It's almost mandatory to have this hero out as soon as you hit heroic versus this strategy. Here it's just me trying to counter raid him. I killed a few citizens here, but I also caused a lot of idle time, which is really important, especially when you're versus 1 TC, because he does not have as many civilian units as I do. So if I can cause idle time, or if I can basically kill some of his villagers, I am going to be very far ahead. I killed 1 citizen, that's fine, but more important than that, I caused a lot of idle time over here. You can see him struggling for gold right now. If I hadn't done that, he would have had a lot of gold right now. I'm more than happy to lose a few units for this. Just so much idle time for him. But now I figure he realizes that he's on a bit of a timer, because I've been 2TC for a really long time this game. Now so when I'm playing China, or when I'm playing in general, I'm always thinking what my biggest weakness is. And my biggest weakness this game, in this moment, is losing this location. And the reason that is a weakness is not because of the TC, but because of the gold mine. If I run out of gold mine, I just lose automatically. So you can see I've already moved over here. I've thrown down a baule. I've tried to secure this location. Ideally, I should have made a second fortress over here, and I think I will later on. But basically, I try to minimize as many weaknesses as possible when I'm playing. So over here, I realized this was going to be the fight of the game, the most important one, so I made some terracotta riders. I tried to flank them, which is, again, extremely important to do when you're playing cav heavy playstyles. You just can't move your cav. Well, you can, but that's not the most optimal way. You have to kind of try to flank his army. I tried to do that with the terracotta riders, but my building placements kind of made that impossible. What I should have done, ideally, was go through here and try to flank it from here. But what I tried to do was go from here and go through this location, which didn't work out because of the pathing, but it's fine. White Horse Cav are pretty good versus his myth units as well, so it's fine. And I win this fight pretty decisively. And the reason I won this fight pretty decisively was because I invested heavily into the Heroic Age units, but also the fact that he lost his myth units over here means he cannot heal them back. So it is extremely important to be playing I don't want to say play super defensive versus this, but you kind of have to. Because if I had taken this fight over here and I had lost this fight, he would have been able to repair all of these back up. So he would have had 15 more automatons, even maybe more in the next fight. So you have to be very mindful of this. I think it's more than 15, honestly. Yeah, I think it's more. I can't click because the sage is over there. Again, I'm just kind of trying to expand on the map in all directions. I pulled back over here, and I figured he might have some units coming over here, but he didn't. So I just go back. And I believe I sent a few cav units, yep. And again, his gold mine, I just keep trying to do as much damage as possible. Honestly, I don't even care about killing citizens here. It's mostly just I want to cause idle time as much as possible. Been on 2 TC for so long and he's on 1 TC. So every little economic damage that I can do puts me very far ahead. Yeah, I expected him to have hit heroic a bit sooner, to be honest. I sent these Terracotta Rider forward to get eaten up by the spiders, but I guess only one got eaten up and the rest were killed by his units. And since I saw him go Heroic Age, I realized this was an important location for me to protect. So I throw down two of these buildings in front of my TC. Honestly, I see very few players doing this. This is such a good, it adds like an extra buffer to your TC. Essentially, it's like 1320 hit points extra for your TC. My army was over here. I was kind of caught off guard. Well, not off guard. I knew this was coming. I was caught out of position, I guess. And I figured this location wasn't possible to hold this location, so I kind of retreated. And now looking back, maybe I shouldn't have. Maybe I could have kept the heroes over here and tried to take out the behemoth. But it would have been extremely difficult to hold this location and I would have lost most of my units. He traded the Kwafu. Because I was trying to spam the towers here, I figured... Yeah, he had nothing else to trade, so might as well. I don't think he expected me to hit Mythic. At least not right now. He knew I was gonna go fast Mythic because that is the best way to deal with this. Right now my only focus is making sure this TC stays alive. I'm halfway to Mythic. You can see me being very protective of these heroes. I'm keeping them near the TC in case his behemoths come so I can kill them as soon as possible. It's just all I care right now about is making sure that this TC stays alive. You can see I just killed the behemoth and I'm gonna garrison, just trying to take as little damage as possible. Then I garrison out to kill the second behemoth. And I realize I'm surrounded and it's not gonna go down, so I go again and just pull out the other side. This is why I say defender's advantage is super important in this game, super beneficial in this game. Simply because you can garrison from one side to the other. Yeah, 2 Baoles, this was my... Again, the point I talked about earlier was that this was my biggest weakness right now. This gold mine, because it's the only one that I have access to. So you have to make sure you secure all of your weaknesses. You cannot have one location where if you get attacked, you lose the game. So you have to always be very mindful of that. I think he's taking a fight because he's trying to tempt me to use the Great Flood, but I'm more than fine here. I don't really care. I don't need to use it at all. And as soon as I hit Mythic, I make the Qinglongs and I make the Li Jing hero. And once Nuwa gets access to these premium units, the Tiger Cav, the Li Jing and the Qinglong, it's extremely difficult for Atlantean to deal with it, unless they heroize their entire army. And even if they do, I can just pull back with the Qinglongs. I don't have to fight with them. I can just wait to kill his units because his army is extremely expensive. and not cost efficient if I don't have any myth units there, so I can just take fights. Try to kill as many of his heroes as I can, and once his heroes are dead, I can then bring my myth units back in. Basically try to minimize the value he gets from heroizing his entire army. Now the reason... Wait, let's see this first. This was really cool. Yeah, you can see the damage they do is insane. He cannot take a fight at this location. Or at this point. But anyways, as I was saying, I believe this is one of the strongest unit compositions in this game. Tiger Cav, Jinglongs, and Li Jing. And I will explain why. This is because the Tiger Cav, they do bonus damage versus Cav, and they do bonus damage versus archers. So realistically, the only unit you can make versus them is infantry. And infantry don't even trade that well versus them. What you need, generalist infantry don't trade that well versus them. What you need is pure anti-cav units. So I'm think like herdmen, catapulties, what else is there? Spearmen maybe? Potential? No, spearmen are more generalist now. But you get the idea. You need pure anti-cav units versus the Tiger Cav. Pure anti-cav units always have extremely low pierce armor. And these Jinglong do a ridiculous amount of pierce damage in an area of effect. And they have an area of effect damage. So I think this is why this unit comp of Tiger Cav plus Jinglong is arguably one of the best unit comps in the game. Li Jing is just a cherry on top, I guess, because he also does a lot of pierce damage and he's able to stun. What I like to do a lot is I like to manually cast this. So I like to kind of use his special. I don't think I did it this game, this was pretty intense. I like to use his special, basically stun the opponent's units and then use the Jinglong special. Because you can see it does 30... Wait, what? It's not 35 pierce damage, it's more, right? Yes, it does 35 damage instantly, and then it does 5 divine damage in the next second. So it basically makes sure that the 5 divine damage goes through if you can stun the units. And also just generally, if you can see, when the units are moving forward, they kind of clump up. So if you can use his special then, it's even more effective, because the Jinglong will have not exactly more surface area, but basically more units will be in that surface area. The reason I pulled back with the Jinglongs is because he had a lot of Arcus hero here, and I just sent like one Tiger Cav to deal with them. These do so much damage to archers, and you see, this is exactly what I meant. If I see a lot of heroes, I can just pull back, he invests super heavily into them, and then I just don't need to fight versus them. I don't know why the game's frozen, but it ended over here. I think this was played on the previous patch, so it might have gone out of sync, but this was pretty much exactly where the game ended. Maybe in like 1 or 2 seconds, he resigns. So this was pretty much the entire game. As I mentioned earlier, with Nuwa, you have to kind of play super defensive versus this strategy. And you could see me basically just trying to minimize all my weaknesses with the super early Earth Wall. I had Earth Wall over here, and then I had buildings to prevent his army from reaching this gold mine. I tried to go heroic as soon as I could, with as few units as I could. I think I made like 4 pioneers and 2 javelineers. The only reason I made javelineers was so he knew I was making a few units. I didn't actually plan on making any more. I just wanted him to think I was making more. And then you just immediate Fab Beast. You cannot give him time to heroize his units. You cannot give him time to basically pull back, split up his units. Just make sure you get the instant value from the Fab Beast. It basically buys you time, and that is all you need in this matchup. Once you get to the late game, Nuwa's late game is just far superior to Atlantean in almost every way. The Li Jing will deal with the front line, get abilities. You can see 24 hack armor with Volcanic Forge. Li Jing and Jinglong will just absolutely destroy any front line, and then Tiger Cav will deal with everything else. That is literally the only unit you really need. Tiger Cav, Jinglongs, and Li Jing. And also this is map specific, but a ball lay in the middle of the map to secure the wood. Anyways, that was the game. If you guys, just let me know what you guys would like to see more. I was thinking of doing more of these game analysis. If there's any specific matchup you guys would like to see, just let me know. Other than that, whatever type of content you guys want to see, guides, stuff like that, just let me know. I'll be more than happy. See ya. Thanks for watching. And also, please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.